Hey everybody, in this video, I want to talk about something that you personally can do to try to reduce gun violence in our communities, okay? Now, about 10 days ago, I posted a previous video on this topic. It was right after the shooting that occurred in Allen, Texas, where 8 people were slaughtered with an assault, yes, with an assault-style weapon. Of those 8 victims, 2 were little girls, and 1 was a 3-year-old boy, okay? And since then, there's actually been yet another mass shooting, which occurred in Farmington, New Mexico, also involving an assault-style weapon. In that previous video, I talked about a couple of possible solutions, okay? And I explained that my belief that of why we haven't made a whole lot of progress when it comes to these mass shootings is because we have 2 potential solutions: gun control on the one side, addressing mental health on the other, and that the 2 political parties have gotten so entrenched in their own solution that neither can see the possibility on the other side with the other solution, okay? Now, let's face it, when it comes to gun control, as much as I believe that certain types of weapons ought to be regulated, I also recognize that gun control is never going to happen, as I said in the other video, as long as there is money in politics. Now, taking the money out of politics is our gargantuan task that might happen, but it's in the future. So right now, what we need to do is we need to stop the bickering, and the left needs to come around to realize that there are opportunities to address mental health. Now, possibly where we've gotten stuck is the idea that, well, how can we possibly fix mental health? Because we can't predict when someone is going to have a psychotic episode, go grab a weapon, and go shoot a bunch of people. Now, that's true, but that's not the solution that I'm talking about. I'm proposing a different paradigm of mental health, not being reactive to mental illness, which is where we are today, but instead to be proactive about mental resilience, to be proactive about actual mental health for everybody in order to prevent episodes of mental illness going forward, okay? So it's a proactive, not a reactive approach. Now, here's the thing. This type of a solution is already in progress in some places, okay? So I want to share with you something I found at a middle school in a town called Springtown, which is a suburb of Fort Worth. Now, I was visiting this school with my son, who was in a statewide competition. And as I was walking around their campus, I noticed all of these sort of motivational, very positive sounding phrases and signs that were posted around the campus. There's this one called "Choose to Forgive, Let It Go." Okay, there was another, this Choose Love program, where they had 4 sort of pillars: courage, gratitude, forgiveness, and this one is compassion. Here's another one. It says, "Every day is a great day to choose love." So I was actually very curious about this, and I reached out to the principal of the school, being that I am a life coach, and I thought this was something that I wanted to learn a little bit about. So it turns out that this is part of a program called Choose Love. Okay, now this Choose Love movement was started by one of the moms of the Sandy Hook massacre in 2012. Okay, her name is Scarlett Lewis, and she lost her 6-year-old son, Jesse, in that shooting. Okay, now at this particular, so she started this program, and this program is basically, it's called social emotional learning, or actually there is another term for it. It's called character social emotional development. And this is for you people on the right who might potentially go crazy about this. This is not about racism. This is not about critical race theory or whatever that is. Okay, this is actually about giving kids emotional training that they can use to then have better outcomes in terms of mental health overall. And at this particular school, and I want to share their curriculum, they actually have a fully built out curriculum where the children are taught on daily and weekly on these 4 primary themes of courage and forgiveness and compassion. And let me find my, sorry, bear with me one second. I want to find, I actually have their curriculum, and I want to share it with you for here, just for one second. Let's go here and here. Okay. So this is a Google Drive, and I'm actually going to make this Google Drive available to you. So the link to this will be posted in the comments below. So you can see that there are 4 pillars: courage, gratitude, forgiveness, compassion. And just to give you a little example of one of them, this slide here is from the gratitude piece of the curriculum, gratitude and the value of others. And they say this week, we are going to discuss the value in others and how important it is to see their value and what it means to you. What they're doing basically in this program is teaching kids to have better regulation of their emotions, better empathy for other people, and generally better mental resilience. Okay, mental health, which is going to reduce incidences of mental illness in the future. Makes sense to me, and that is what I believe is going to be an outcome of this. So now, just imagine us as adults, if we'd had this kind of training when we were kids, how much better off that we would be. And frankly, there are plenty of adults, in some regards, myself included, that don't have a very good handle on things like forgiveness and gratitude and courage and compassion. Okay, so if we could implement this kind of training in all schools, and if we could even implement a version of this kind of training in the workplace, okay, and this is going to be where my call to action is going to be for you guys to get involved. Can you just imagine how much better off we would be as a society if we all had this kind of material as regular training to help our own mental resilience? I think we would be way better off. And I think that in the long term, we would enjoy far less mental illness. So let me share one final slide with you guys where I want to go through kind of a little list of things that I might potentially add or tweak to this program in different versions, right? There's a version of this for kids in schools, and there's a version of this for adults in the workplace. So skills for building mental resilience. Start just by managing stress. Okay, now we are all stressed out, and we all have varying degrees of capability in managing our stress. Now, would anybody here truly think that if we would not have better mental health outcomes in the long run if we could just be better about managing our own stress? Seems like a no-brainer to me, right? Second thing would be having empathy for others. There are plenty of adults that I know personally who don't do a very good job of having empathy for others, but it can be learned, it can be trained, and it can be reiterated in people's minds so that we do naturally have a better sense of empathy for other people. And when we can better control our stress and have more empathy, chances are we're not going to pick up guns and go shoot a bunch of people, okay? Regulating our emotions for healthier outcomes. I could use this skill. Actually, I have been working on this skill for several years now, and I've gotten quite a bit better at it than I used to be. But everybody could use a little help in just regulating emotions for healthier outcomes, meaning fewer shootings, okay? Not just better relationships in the workplace, better relationships at home with your spouse, with your children, but fewer incidences of violence. Resolving conflict, maintaining a positive mindset, being able to forgive yourself and others. These, and most importantly, recognizing when we need help and how to get it. So what I propose to you is to take these concepts and to take them to your schools. If you have kids in schools, private schools or public schools, ask what kind of social emotional training programs they have in place already. To the degree that they do, investigate them, figure out if there are things that you might want to tweak, where you might want to implement some of these more real world life skills. Okay. If you don't have kids in school and you have a workplace, go into your workplace, propose to your HR department that they consider some form of basic mental resilience training in the workplace for everybody. I think the result in the long term will be better mental health for all of us. And that would make a big move forward in reducing gun violence. That's just my proposal. Tell me what you think. Make some comments. Again, I'm going to place that link and a few others in the comments of this post. I'd love to have you look at it and reach out to me if you have any questions or want to discuss further. Thanks for listening.